I'm Jim Longworth. Welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. There's no telling what those guys are going to say, so stay tuned for that madness. But between now and then, some great information coming your way. We'll talk about keeping our kids safe and injury-free. We'll talk about a big community day of service coming up. We'll tell you all about how to pick a plastic surgeon and know the right kind of surgeon to get. But first, we start out on a very serious topic. You've heard a lot about the opioid crisis lately, and we have an expert here with us that's doing some great things to abate that crisis. Lori Bates, the director. Let's meet our very special guest. Dr. Jessica Gross is trauma surgeon and assistant professor of trauma surgery at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center and hails from Greensboro, Pennsylvania. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thanks. Nice meeting you.
Thank you for being here. Opioid deaths, as we all know, and addiction are on the rise. And yet the dilemma seems to be that you still need to treat pain. You still need to treat people's pain. So how do you meet this challenge in this new protocol you're doing? Help me understand it.
Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center is one of the only academic medical centers in the region, and as a level 1 trauma center, we treat about 3,600 trauma patients a year. And so back in 2015, a group of us got together to discuss, how we are currently managing pain on our trauma service and what changes we felt we need to make. And since 2015, the few of the changes we've made is we started to set expectations about the patients and their pain control at admission. We reiterated these expectations during their hospital stay, and then we discussed their pain regimen upon discharge.
Right. Now, is it safe to say that in what you're doing, you're sort of making your protocol such that you don't want to use the opioids unless it's absolutely necessary, or am I misstating that?
No, that is absolutely true. Yes, we fully acknowledge that our trauma patients have injuries and they're going to have acute pain. However, we've also tried to stress that not all pain requires a narcotic pain medication. And so what we've stressed is if you're having mild pain, you can use medications like acetaminophen or ibuprofen. If you're having neuropathic pain that is not actually treated with an opioid, they have their own special set of pain relievers such as gabapentin. And if you're having muscle spasms, then you would use a muscle relaxer instead. So with this multimodality therapy, we're able to better treat and control their pain.
What kind of feedback are you getting? Now, maybe it's too soon to know. I don't know how the studies go with this, but what kind of feedback do you get from patients, from families of patients, to let you know that this protocol seems to be working?
We looked at our Press-Ganey scores prior to and after the implementation of our pain management protocol, and we actually saw an increase in overall patient satisfaction and an increase in their pain control after we implemented the protocol.
By using less opioids?
By using less. We decreased our opioid use by half by implementing this protocol.
Wow. Okay. That's very surprising, very encouraging too. Do you think that, I'll put you on the spot with this, because you're going to have to brag on yourself by answering the question, but we'll go with it anyway. Do you think that what you're doing should be a model for all hospitals?
Yeah, I do think that our pain management protocol can be used at other institutions, and in fact, we presented our data at the American Association for the Surgery of Trauma meeting back in September of 2017, and we're currently working on a manuscript in hopes to get it published so that other institutions can see what we've done.
That's something. I want to put up a website, and then I have one last question I want to ask you, because we haven't met. I want to ask you how you got into medicine, why you wanted to do this. But anyway, up on the screen, wakehealth.edu is a website where you can find out all sorts of good things about what's going on. But since we have just a minute or so left, and we haven't met before, I want to know about you. Who or what encouraged you to go into medicine?
I actually grew up riding horses, and so if they would get sick or hurt, I was always the one who took care of them. And so because of that, I was just really interested in taking care of, at that point, others. But I realized, admittingly, I was terrified of dogs, so being a veterinarian was never going to happen. And
right.
So I, between that and shadowing one of my friend's dad, who was a plastic surgeon,
right.
Between that, I realized medicine was a perfect fit for me.
So your dad was a plastic surgeon?
My friend's dad was.
Your friend's dad.
So I shadowed
of course,
him.
we have some great plastic surgeons on the show today, too.
I hear that.
They're threatening to do a lot of work on me, which I do need a lot of work, but that's a whole other topic. I'm so glad you came over, and thanks for doing what you're doing. It's very important work.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, and time for me to boast about my alma mater, UNCG, and we have a guest who's never been here before, and we're also glad to have her here. Let's meet her right now. Christina Gage is Assistant Director for Community Engagement for the Office of Leadership and Service Learning at UNCG. And I have to admit, I didn't even know that that office was there. Of course, it wasn't when I went there 100 years ago, but welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Just for folks that may not know, what is the Office of Leadership and Service Learning? What do you do? What's the mission?
Sure. So we, through civic engagement, service learning, and leadership development, work to help our students develop an identity of who they are, who they want to be as a professional, and who they are in the community.
Now, is this a course type thing, or if I'm on campus and I've got some spare time, I come to you and say, hey, I'd like to see what's going on, or how does that work?
Yeah, so students can participate in our programs outside the classroom just by the time that they have free and if they sign up. And through some of their academic courses, they may be service learning, which means they'll be doing service for academic credit. Right,
right. Now, you and your students who are participating in this have a special day coming up, and for people that are watching Triad Today on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I think the day we're going to talk about is what? Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's coming up?
Yeah, so we have a really exciting day coming up on Monday where we will be doing Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service in honor of Dr. King's legacy. So we are working with 16 amazing community partners who are hosting service projects. And about 350 of our students will be going out and doing over 1,000 hours of service.
Wow, man, and I know you can't give the whole list, but give me a couple examples of the kind of tasks that the students will perform as community service.
So they'll be helping prepare and serve meals at Greensboro Urban Ministry. They'll be sorting donations at the Interactive Resource Center. But we also have every year some unique projects. So they'll be helping repair fencing at the Guilford Military National Courthouse. So some really unique projects for all kinds of students, whether they're into history or public health or human services, and we try to match groups that sign up together to things that they want to do.
Now, I know this isn't like a sporting event, but I mean, you know, because they're really doing some serious things to help people, but there might be some people that want to come out and see what's going on and take pictures and things like that. I mean, can the public just walk in and say, is there a list of where people are going to be or what they're going to do?
We will be putting our final list on our website, so that's one place that folks can see where everywhere we'll be. We'll have students doing litter cleanups and all kinds of stuff, so you might run into some of our volunteers just driving around town.
Right.
And one of the places they'll be this year is with the Volunteer Center of Greensboro at the Four Seasons Mall. So that project is actually open to the entire community.
And how do you decide if I'm a student, you say you got 350 students, do they come into you and just say, Christina, I have an interest in cleaning up rivers, or I have an interest in serving food? Is that how it works, or do you know what the needs are based on the partners that you're working with and you sort of assign people? How does that work?
Yeah, so the partners register their projects with us and let us know what their needs are, and we plan around that. So students will sign up either as individuals or groups and give us a couple of rankings of this is the type of thing I want to do, or I really love working with animals, or I'm into working with populations that are experiencing homelessness. So we try to match them up based on what our partners have said they need.
Well, let me ask you a stupid question sort of to wrap up here. I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm wondering what's your answer to this. Why is it so important for college students to get involved and do community service while they're at college? Because they have a heavy workload themselves. Some of them have part-time jobs. Why is this important?
I would say there's two things. First, I think being involved in the community and exploring different ways to connect to organizations or types of tasks can help students develop professionally, figuring out the types of things that they're good at, that they want to do. And also at UNCG, we're hoping that students don't just graduate experts in their academic fields, but we also want them to be citizens who know how to participate in their communities and feel a responsibility for that common good in the community.
Absolutely. How did you get so smart at your young age? Did your parents talk to you about leadership and communities?
They did. They certainly did. Service has always been really important to me, so I love being at UNCG where they kind of let me follow my path.
That's just great. Really, seriously, I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
The kids need your kind of leadership so they can learn leadership too. Up on screen, two websites, olsl.uncg.edu, which gets you to Christina's specific area of the Leadership and Service Learning Center, and then, of course, the general website, uncg.edu. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, and I'm really excited about having these two gentlemen with me because I've known them both for a long time. And let's see him right now. Lori Bates, our director. On my right, Dr. Andrew Schneider, we call him Andy, He's a surgeon for Forsyth Plastic Surgery, and Dr. Gil Kingman, also a surgeon there. Welcome, gentlemen. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Welcome. Good to be here.
And the folks at home may not know this because I'm so old they won't know this, but we're in our 15th season of Triad Today, and Dr. Snyder was our first guest 15 years ago. And I don't know if Brian has some footage up there or not, but you'll see that Andy has not changed in 15 years, but the host has.
I think we've both changed a little bit.
It's a pitiful thing.
I hate to say.
Andy, what kind of now I know you can't give a long laundry list and everything, but what kind of procedures do you and your colleagues perform, just so people know there's a short menu list, and just give a few examples?
Well, we do a little bit of everything at Forsyth Plastic Surgery. We do both reconstructive surgery and we do cosmetic surgery. When it comes to reconstructive surgery, what that means is breast reconstruction, cancer reconstruction. We take skin cancers off. We do burn reconstruction. That list goes on. And then we also do the cosmetic surgery, which people are familiar with. Tummy tucks and facelifts and liposuctions, those kind of things. So we do pretty much everything, and we have a lot of lasers, so we do a lot of laser procedures too.
You mentioned cosmetic surgery. I don't want to mention any names, but on TV sometimes you see people say, oh, I'm a cosmetic surgeon. Does that mean that that person, he or she, is also a plastic surgeon?
That's a really good question, because there's a lot of confusion in the public about what does it mean to be a cosmetic surgeon, a plastic surgeon, an aesthetic surgeon. Unfortunately, it gets very confusing, and when we talk to patients, we really try to educate them on what that means. The short answer is this, Jim. Just because somebody says they're a cosmetic surgeon or even a plastic surgeon doesn't mean that they have the full training in plastic and reconstructive surgery that we think you should have.
Well, Gil, picking up on that, you know, when we go into doctors' offices, a lot of times people look at their credentials, not their credentials, but what college they went to. Oh, I know that college or whatever. But why is it important for plastic surgeons to be board certified, to be really certified in this? What does that mean for patients?
Well, when we use that term, we're referring to certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery. There are doctors who will call themselves cosmetic surgeons and say, oh, I'm board certified. And the question would be, well, what board is that?
Right,
is it a board that's recognized by the American Board of Medical Specialties? Our board, the American Board of Plastic Surgery, really has a very rigorous program that you've got to go through in order to get that certificate and maintain that certificate.
Right. Now, Gil, since we're talking about that, are there specific places, facilities that you guys can do your surgery? Are you limited in any way, or where do you usually do procedures?
That's a great question. The American Board of Plastic Surgery and our society, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, requires that we provide surgery in safe facilities that are accredited. And so they have met a high level of standards in terms of safety.
Right.
Many procedures that you need to go through to get this operating room ready so it's safe for patients.
Andy, as we sort of wrap up things, I'm just wondering, anything that we should look out for, red flags, when somebody says, yeah, I'm a plastic surgeon, or how do we pick the right surgeon?
Well, if you're a patient and you're going to see a plastic surgeon, I would ask them, first of all, are you board certified, and what board certified you?
Right.
And then find out, have they been doing this for a while? Can I get some references? Can I talk to some patients that have had it done? Where do you operate? What is the licensing of that facility? And I'll tell you, Jim, it gets a little confusing. It can be a little complicated. And if you have any doubt, they can go to our website and they can see the criteria that your plastic surgeon should meet.
Since you mentioned that, I'll put that up now, or we'll get Brian to put it up, www.forsythplasticsurgery.com, and for WSJS listening audience, forsythplasticsurgery.com. I do want you to check that out because, Gil, as Andy was saying, a lot of people have websites. That doesn't necessarily mean, you know, but you guys have testimonials and stuff too, right?
Oh, exactly. Patient testimonials, long history. Our practice is the longest one in Winston-Salem.
It really is.
A long history of safety.
Dr. John Fagg and some other great surgeons are with you. You guys do a great job. I'm not just saying that because we're friends, but I appreciate what you do. It's a serious business and you need serious guys doing it. But not so serious is the fact that, can you help an old, fat, 64-year-old man look better? That's what I want to know.
We'll talk after the taping, okay?
Yeah. Dr. Snyder, Dr. Kingman, thank you guys.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back after 15 years. All right. We'll be right back. I may not look the same, but we'll be back after this. Back now on Triad Today. I always like it when these two folks wander into the studio, and we invited them, but they don't just wander in, but they did wander in today. Anyway, next to me, the beautiful Ruth Hyde. She's, of course, Executive Director for Community Outreach and Employee Wellness at Crumley Roberts, Attorneys at Law. And next to her, good friend Corey Phillips, Manager of Community Outreach and Project Manager for Kids Zone. Welcome back and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you, Jim.
Ruth, I'm going to ignore you for just a second.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to Corey. Because we're going to talk about community outreach, and we're going to talk about something about leadership in just a second with Ruth. But Corey, let's talk about Kids Zone first. Give me like 10 seconds for people that don't know anything about Kids Zone. Give me 10 seconds on what Kids Zone is.
Yeah, Kids Zone is the Crumley Roberts community outreach component. It started as what most folks would call a bike rodeo, and has grown into a real deep partnership with educational sector, as well as summer camps and faith-based communities where we go in and engage with young people, things that fall in line with our mission and our passion, which is safety and wellness.
Keeping the kids safe, I think it's great. Now, what's going to be different about Kids Zone this year?
Well, along those lines, we saw that when we engaged with middle school, or rather elementary school students, kind of that 5th grade age, we were missing some opportunities, some conversations maybe that haven't been happening in the school lately. So we polled some of our friends in the education community and found out, you know, if you could wave your magic wand and not have to address one certain thing with the student anymore, what would that be?
Right.
And we gleaned from that list some pretty insightful opportunities. Anti-bullying is a big one. They really want outside voices to help champion that cause.
Right.
As you hinted a moment ago, young people and leadership. Why not talk about it in the 5th grade as they rise into a 6th grade role?
Why wait until they're in college?
Exactly right. And then in keeping with doing what's right and caring like family, we want to instill at these kids the opportunity to be an upstanding citizen. And so along the lines of how helmets save lives with bicycle riders, what about hands-only CPR?
Absolutely.
And so we are weaving that into our new programming, which we are currently calling Kids Zone 3, which will be rolled out.
So the CPR thing will be in Kids Zone 3?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Wow. Now, how can, if somebody's watching this and they say, wait a minute, I'm a principal at a school or I'm a pastor at a church or what, how can somebody schedule one of these?
So the easiest way is simply to hop on our website. They can certainly call as well, but there's a direct link on our website to Ruth and myself, and that's all it takes.
All right. Let me, is there any cost involved if I want to set up a Kids Zone event?
That's my favorite part. There is zero cost involved.
Okay. This is great. And I want to go to Ruth now since we're talking about outreach in general. What's going on with the Education Leadership Center?
Well, we actually just finished our 2nd session and our collaboration and partnership with the Guilford Nonprofit Consortium. And now, to date, we've been a part of 30 nonprofit leaders across the Triad's lives for the past year. It's been pretty exciting.
Really trying, in case people don't know, trying to help folks who are executives who work with nonprofit organizations do everything from manage their time better to be better employers, or it's the whole thing, right?
Absolutely, and in fact, we've also collaborated with local leaders and inspirational keynote speakers to come in and be a part of the sessions as well.
Now, again, a similar question to what I asked Corey, how can people get involved? I mean, you can't just walk into the center and because you guys have got to know what's going on, you have to sort of screen people and everything. How do I get involved in this? How can I, if I'm somebody that works in a nonprofit, take advantage of what you're offering?
Well, we actually will be launching next week a session in Charlotte. So we'll be starting a spring session and collaborating with United Way of Central Carolinas there and doing a spring session. And then we'll be back in Guilford County for the fall. And so folks interested in participating and maybe self-nominating or know a leader within their nonprofit that they'd like to nominate, can again visit our website, crumleyroberts.com, under our Culture and Community tab.
I'll ask both of you to wrap up in a few seconds each. Same question, different angle. What kind of feedback are you getting off the Kids Zone? What kind of feedback are you getting off the Leadership Center? Corey.
My favorite thing to hear from the Kids Zone is that the especially educational sector feels like they have a great partner with the folks at Crumley Roberts. And internally, I love to hear our team come back and say they were really glad they were a part of it.
Ruth?
I think that Kim and Chris's vision of that we never stop learning and need to be learning continuously in our lives is key. And I think that folks leave our sessions and leave our center inspired and want to create a better environment where they work and their communities that they serve.
Helping people of all ages for all situations, and crumleyroberts.com website is up on screen now. We all come back, let me know how it's going?
Absolutely.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable. It's our first one of the new year, as a matter of fact, so we're all excited. Let's get right to it. On my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, that man about town and spiffy dresser and great journalist. Next to him, Sheriff P.J. Barnes of Guilford County. Next to him, Keith Granberry, who is now doing the work of getting people registered to vote nationwide, which is admirable. And I mentioned, I mentioned the sheriff, because you know everybody's writing books now. And the sheriff is writing a tell-all about Keith. I didn't know if you knew that.
I knew it was a book. I didn't know the subject matter.
Yeah. All right, now.
How to move to Africa.
Yeah, the first topic. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we don't have all the facts yet, but this Toyota Mazda plant that we thought was going to come to Randolph County mega site, and we just lost it to Alabama. Quickly, guys, any thoughts on why we might have lost it to Alabama? Ogie?
You know what, I swear I think if Roy Moore had gotten elected, we would have gotten that plant. They would not have put it there with Roy Moore in the Senate.
With Roy in there. Sheriff?
That may be the case, but I think the reason that it went to Alabama is because they already have so many car parks places that are already there.
They've got the supply chain.
Good sense.
The supply chain's down there. Keith?
I think it's the supply chain, but also I think the politics of Alabama are even better for the car dealers than it is in North Carolina.
More inviting to them. With
absolutely.
Well, maybe we'll explore that later when we get more facts. Okay, local officials are still catching flack for changing our airport's name from PTI to the Central North Carolina International Airport. They say that'll change things, make us bring in more business. Guys, you okay with a name change? And we'll overcome the real problem that nobody wants to talk about, which is we don't have a lot of direct flights to big cities. Ogie?
And our fares are too high. No, that was stupid. I never did get it. It changed it from one clunky name to another clunky name. Why not just call it the Greensboro International Airport?
Yeah, I don't get it, Sheriff.
A rose is a rose is a rose. It's not going to make any difference. Are you going to change the name of this program to Central Today?
No, Central, well, I might. Let's do that. Brian, can we change the name of the show in the middle of the, we'll put up a, Gloria will just put up a graphic. The show's been changed. Keith, what do you think?
Well, you know, Charlotte is called Central Piedmont, their community college. Central Piedmont is not going to do anything. I don't care what you call it, unless you get Southwest and some of these carriers into the airport, is not going to make a difference.
Exactly. I'll tell you what. All right, now a noted, I want to do this one because you know, Keith is really involved in doing voter registration, so I want to do this while he's here. The Supreme Court is about to decide if it's okay for the Ohio legislature to do what they want to do, which is to remove people from voting rolls if you haven't voted in the past 6 years. Guys, you okay with this, Ogie?
That cannot possibly stand up, and if it goes to the Supreme, that cannot possibly stand up.
Sheriff, any thoughts?
Unless you've been in a coma, yeah, I have no problem with that. I mean, you know, if you're not exercising your right, I mean, why should we keep sending mailings to it, doing everything else that an elected official has to do?
Keith?
I have to say, Sheriff, that's a terrible idea. You just said, number one, and
that does not surprise me.
It doesn't surprise you at all.
That's what. This is going in the sheriff's book. This is a book about Keith that he's writing. All right, go ahead,
number
Keith.
one, let's think about this. You have the right to vote. That doesn't mean that you vote, but you have the right. They can't take you off the rolls. They've been doing this for decades, taking people off the rolls. They've been miscalculating data and all that, and that's what voter suppression is all about. Is using this data to keep the underserved population at bay. You cannot do that. It does not work, and it's voter suppression.
Will the court strike it down?
They will strike it down.
Yeah, they'll strike it down.
No. It's education. A lot of things go into voting suppression. Sheriff, you know that.
All right, this is one that's kind of weird. Disney World and other hotels, resorts are offering now they've stopped offering the do not disturb signs. They won't put them on the door anymore. The reason is because they said it goes back to the massacre in Las Vegas, where the gunman used a do not disturb sign on his door to make sure nobody came in his room and they would have seen all of his guns and everything. Guys, is this sort of a violation of your privacy that you can't put a do not disturb up at some hotels, Ogie?
You know, in a way it is. I think it's an overreaction. I mean, there's ways around. You can put it up if it's there for days on end. Yeah, something may be fishy. You have the right to go in there and look and see everything's okay.
Yeah.
But no, that's a violation.
I agree with Ogie. It is an overreaction. I mean, and I'm for public safety, but this goes a little far.
Keith?
It's idiotic. I mean, what are you going to do next? Take the do not feed alligator signs out of? What are you going to do next?
I tell you, that's rough. Yeah, you're going to do that. Now, moving to an entirely different topic, Iceland has become the first nation in the world to make it illegal for a company to pay women less than men for the same job. Should the United States pass the same law, will other nations follow suit? Quickly, Ogie.
Probably other European nations probably will. I don't think the U.S. is quite ready for that.
Sheriff,
It's
what do you
moving
think?
in that direction, but not a law.
All right, Sheriff.
Same job should be paid the same money.
All right, Keith.
Yes, same job should be paid the same money, but it still
I just said that.
no, but it
They always
still
agree.
depends on the male-dominated business society, and mostly it's the white male-dominated. We got to move in a different direction, and I think we are.
Why did you look at me when you said white male?
Because you are a white male.
Oh, I just realized that. Really? It's a revelation. How much time do we have, Brian? 1 minute. All right. Last thing, guys. According to a recent survey, 40% of employees in the nation who called in sick last year were not sick. Guys, throughout your entire working lifetime, I don't mean now, and you don't have to go into detail, have you ever called in sick when you weren't? Ogie.
Well, through your entire life, working life, I mean, most people probably, well, I used to drink a little bit.
Yeah, well.
And
So you.
in those days,
You probably
I mean, like
didn't.
every Monday, basically.
Yeah. Sheriff?
Yes.
You have, Sheriff.
Yes.
Shame on you, Sheriff.
Yes.
Keith?
I wanted to call in sick today, but I was going to miss the sheriff and you, so I came anyway. And then forget about Ogie as well.
Let me tell you a secret. All three of y'all are sick, as far as I'm concerned. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for our. Except for this. A woman in Greenfield, Massachusetts, recently celebrated her 100th birthday by eating Kentucky Fried Chicken. Asked why KFC, the old woman said it was on my bucket list.
Good.
It's a little promotional thing. Yeah. For all of us here and all those sick guys who call in and all that stuff, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next.